Hello, everyone. My name is Francesca. And the reason why I'm speaking to you all through a lens, through a camera, I wanted to let you into my life. So I am very inquisitive. I love to ask questions. If you are part of my inner circle, understand that I'll ask permission, but I'm pretty invasive. And the main reason why I like asking questions is because I like to learn. So I'll tell you how this all came about. This came about like about in March. So I was sitting there and I was just like, I've got all these questions that I always need answers for, like whether I get it from a person, whether I get it from, whether I research it on my own elsewhere, I need answers. And I was having a conversation with someone and I'm like, you know what? I should turn this into some sort of, I don't know, like almost like a Google search. Like I want this to be available for someone that if they type it in, they'll be able to get this specific information. And I'll tell you why, because I like to learn and I learn through story. I'm a story collector. So if I'm learning through story and I have the courage to actually be inquisitive. Some people don't have the courage. Some people don't have the resources. I have the resources. At least I think I have the resources, and I make sure that my resources continuously grow. So if I've got the resources and I've got the courage to ask questions, why not bring people along on my journey? So I want to learn. My most recent learn that I want to really get into and dive into is social media and raising your children in 2020 with social media. I promise you, this topic is driving me nuts. I have an 11-year-old. She's about to be 12 in March. I've got a 5-year-old. He's about to be 6 in December. My 5-year-old, he's not really on the phones and stuff like that. Like he likes playing video games on the phone. But my 11-year-old, like it's TikTok is going to be the death of me. Like it really freaking is. It drives me nuts. So I'm like, I'm having all these thoughts in my head, and I'm like, okay, I need to start reaching out to folks that can teach me, like, okay, maybe it's not a bad thing, or maybe it is a good thing. Like I just need information. So who better to reach out to than people that have children? So for instance, Christina. Christina has two amazing children that are in college. And the reason why I know that they weren't raised on social media is because they're now in college, correct? They're now both in college. And I know that in that age group, if you really count back the numbers, social media wasn't big like that. Like according to statistics, and I don't want to get too analytical on y'all, but according to, I was watching The Social Dilemma on Netflix, which everyone should watch. If you've got children, watch The Social Dilemma. And even if you don't have children, watch it for yourself because it is very informative and it teaches you a lot about the algorithms and it teaches you a lot about what the media wants you to see. So again, I've always had these thoughts. That movie just threw me over the edge because it confirmed as to why I don't like social media, specifically for children. So according to the film, the name is The Social Dilemma on Netflix. According to the film, child suicide grew by 150% in a decade. So from 2009, when social media was created, they pretty much looked this up and said suicide grew by 150%. In my opinion, according to this documentary, I'm blaming it on social media. Because social media gives you that I'm comparing myself to someone else. It's giving you that not real life, but people post their real life. You follow what I'm saying? So I got to a point where I'm like, no, I need to speak up because I know that there's other moms out there that are probably thinking the exact same thing that I'm thinking, but they don't have anyone to talk to. Because we tend to conform to our circle, and our circle don't always have the answers. So I'm like, I need to find a circle that's going to help me tell me that I'm not going crazy. So I'm like, I'm going to speak to a mom that has two beautiful children that she did an amazing job raising as a single Black woman. Both children are in college, beautiful, beautiful children. I need to talk to her. And then I'm like, okay, but wait a second. I want to be able to ask these questions to a professional too, because I want to make sure that yes, stories definitely help, and they're relatable, but I want to make sure that I'm like medically not going crazy. So I'm bringing in Melanie Clark from the Amazing Clarks, life coach, relationship coach, professional that knows how to tackle these issues, that knows how to converse and untie all this drama that's probably going on in my head. Lastly, I wanted to bring in Kangela. So Kangela has a very touching story as far as the way she was raised and the way she was able to deal with her depression at a very young age. So I'm going to be tapping into all these beautiful women. They're going to say their piece, but I want you guys to literally tap into maybe the same questions that I've had in my head. Am I going crazy? Is social media bad? Is it good? How can I use it in a way where I can help my children understand that this is not necessarily good for you? And we made our daughter sit with us while we watched The Social Dilemma. And she was like, in the beginning, she was just like kind of into it. Towards the end, she was over it. But I'm a true believer that subconsciously something got in there.
Yeah, definitely.
Something got in there. So I want to ask Christina. I'm going to start with Christina. How? My question to you is how? Like how did you do it all? How?
Wow. I first and foremost, Francesca, I want to say thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for considering me for this platform, because it is very important that we do share our stories. And there's definitely someone out there who, or multiple people, I believe, that are going to be, they're going to benefit from this. When I'm asked, how did I do it? My first answer, and it's always going to be the same. I don't care what platform I'm on. It's going to be prayer. Because it is so hard to raise your kids with just your bare hands. And I had to tap into the spiritual sense of myself because, as you stated, I have two beautiful children, but I had them at a very young age. And when I had my children, I had my daughter at 17 and I had my son at 19. I was still trying to figure out how to be a teen, how to be me, trying to grow and learn how to even operate myself. I believe that being able to have a bond with my children definitely made a huge difference, right? Communication. I grew up in very strict Caribbean household, which is do as I say, not as I do. I didn't raise my kids that way. I raised my kids to be individuals. I raised them to have opinions. I raised them to be able to be comfortable in speaking to me. Because again, as you said, social media is raising our kids. And so if I had not created that bond, to created that line of communication with them where they can come and talk to me about whatever it may be, then they're going to look for those answers somewhere else. Now, my kids didn't really grow up with social media like that. It's only as they got older that, because again, my children are older now. But as social media started to grow, it's going to impact them. So I believe that it's very important. First and foremost, I say prayer. Let me tell y'all, parents, y'all better pray, because there's going to be some times where you might just want to, like Francesca said, you might feel like you're kind of losing it. It's going to happen as a parent. I'm just being transparent. It happens. There have been times where I have argued with my kids and I had to step outside of myself and say, okay, how is this going to make them better? By me arguing with them or by me being upset and screaming at them. And I had to change my disciplinary actions in a way that is more productive and not in a way that it shuns them away and they don't want to, they shut down and they don't want to communicate anymore. So that's some of the ways that I have done it. Again, it's prayer, it's communication, and it's just really building a bond with your children, making them comfortable to come and talk to you about just about anything. Because they're not going to come to you with everything, but with just about anything.
Yeah. So how old are your children now, just so that everyone knows?
So my daughter will be 20 next week, or the week after next week, in about a week and a half. And my son is 18.
And at what age did they start social media?
I want to say social media probably wasn't big for them until maybe my daughter was maybe 12-ish or 11-ish. somewhere maybe around there. No, actually, no, my son was probably 12 or 13. My daughter was probably more around the 14, 15 era, somewhere around there.
And how did they begin with social media? Like, was there a specific platform that they got started with? Did they come and they said the kids at school are doing it, I want to do it? Like, how did that even come about?
So my daughter got her phone at 10ish, and that was because she sorry, Francesca. I know you didn't want to hear that, but she got her phone at 10ish, and it was because, you know, she was going to school. We needed to be able to communicate with her. But the social media phase didn't start till 15. So I want to say it started maybe with, oh my gosh. Well, maybe was that Snapchat? No, Snapchat wasn't around then. It was probably Instagram at the time. That's when Instagram was like very, very young. Right. And we weren't really, us old school people were probably still on MySpace or something like that. And they were over on Instagram. So it started up with about Instagram, and then, you know, it grew into Snapchat and everything else they got out there now. My kids, TikTok ain't never really been their thing. They're older now.
Yeah, that's tackling like Snapchat and TikTok. That's tackling like literally like the 11-year-olds, the 12-year-olds. Like I see accounts that I'm just like, why do you even have a phone? Like, I know you said that your kid had a phone by 10, and I understand the reason why you needed it. But I'm looking at my daughter like, ma'am, I drop you off, I pick you up. Everywhere you go. Like, you don't need no phone. And I understand, especially now living in Florida, like I've spoken to other moms and they're like, yeah, but with the shooting that happened, like I want to be able, you know, I want my child to be able to reach out to me. I understand all of that. It still drives me. Like it literally, it really does make me nervous. It makes me very nervous. Like right now, what Chloe has, my daughter, she's 11 years old, like I said, and what she has is an iPad. But you know that the iPad nowadays, they're pretty modern. So she has access to FaceTime and messages. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little cuckoo. It's all blocked.
Yeah. What are you afraid of, Francesca? Like what is it that creates so much fear around it?
It's conversations that I don't know if it's me, like I'm not ready to have them yet, because I think that she's a little bit too young for a lot of the things that her friends are into. Like when was it? Just the other day, she asked me if a blunt is drugs. I'm like, I don't even use that word. So where are you getting it from? Like things like that. And I know that it's more me than anything. It makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It makes me uncomfortable because I feel like she's at an age group where I don't think that I should be having to explain a lot of the things that other kids are into right now.
Yeah.
Like I feel like other children, again, social media is raising your kids, but I feel like also other children, their peers are also helping raise them, because they're bringing in conversations that in their age group, like 11 years old, what's that, 5th grade, 6th grade, I wasn't having.
Yeah.
Like I've always been very, very smart, but I don't think that I was this smart.
I will say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, go ahead.
I will say, and I love Melanie's question, because it's a real question. Like, what is the fear? And I think part of the fear comes from how we were raised, and we weren't doing the things that these kids are doing now. And so we're looking at this like, what is going on here? Like, no, this is just too much, because we weren't raised like this. We weren't doing these things at this age, but times have changed drastically. And what we're trying to do is to protect our children from these drastic changing times. And it's kind of hard to do that. It's a little difficult to do that, because this is, you know, what it is right now, which is why I always say it's a good idea to have communication with your kids. Like, I don't know how I would feel, Francesca, if I was Chloe's mom and at 11, you're asking me about a blunt. I'm like, what? But then I'm also that parent, to be quite honest with you, that's like, okay, let me tell you what it is, and let me tell you why it's not good for you. I'm also that type of parent, you know, like my kids will tell you, I'm very straightforward with them, because I'd rather be the teacher of all the things than somebody else. Because if I tell you what it is, at least you're aware. If somebody else has to explain it to you, and I'm just shunning away from telling you, and somebody else explains it to you, they may not explain it to you in the way that I would like for you to understand it, so that you know that it's not good for you, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And then they have the power in the parenting, then they are raising your kids. Yeah. So I would say this, Francesca, like this is just something I tell all parents. you only get so long to pour the good stuff into your kids. And that's from about 0 to the age 7. That's when they're sponges and they're downloading everything that you're giving to them. And then we send them to kindergarten, out to the world, and they're going to have access to other people. And those people are going to have an influence. And so I agree with Christina, beautifully said. It's about developing that relationship. And when they come to you with these questions, being okay with answering those questions. I always have questions for questions. And you see, I just did that, right?
I do that too. I do that
right?
too.
So if they ask me what is a blunt, I'll say, well, what do you know about it? What have you heard? Because I want to know what information they're getting. And then I'm going to tell them the truth because I want to be someone that they trust. And if they know I'm always telling them the truth, they trust me. And then they're also going to learn to know that feeling inside their body when someone is being honest and real with you, because they have that with me and they're going to be able to come to me. And so I have a quick little story to tell you, Francesca. So my youngest daughter is 21. She's going to be 22 in December. And just like Christina, she got her phone at about 11. A lot of peer pressure. All her friends had it. She started out just texting. I used to hate texting. Now I only want to text, but she was really into texting. And so she had that little flip phone and she would text me and I'd be like, call me on the phone, don't text me. But no, she kept texting. I think her first social media was Facebook. And one night, and I have an older daughter that's 37 now who thinks she's the mother, not me. And she called me, Mommy, do you know Tony's on Facebook right now? And I was like, yeah, she's sitting right next to me. Yeah, I know she's on Facebook right now. And so my daughter was like, why are you letting her on Facebook? And I'm like, because she's right next to me right now. I can see what she's doing. And she feels comfortable doing it in front of me. And I want that. I don't want her to feel like she needs to sneak. And this is not a new idea. Back in my day, if I tried to talk to my mom about something and she shut me down and I really wanted it, I'm going to sneak and do it. So I remember that. So I learned with my kids, you know what? I put really good stuff in there. And just like Christina, I taught them to be individual thinkers, independent people. I want them to be powerful. I want to empower them. So when they come to me with these questions, then I'm like, all right, this is an opportunity for us to connect and have some great conversations. And here's the hard part for parents. Our children are going to move away from us for information to their peers. That's the natural adolescence thing that they do. I've raised 5 kids. They all do this. They're going to do it. You're not going to stop them. And what they're doing is they are preparing themselves for adult life. They're preparing themselves to connect with their own tribe, and they're testing out the information that their tribe gives them. But if we as parents teach them to be centered and to know when something's right and wrong, that's putting the good stuff in, then they'll know when they're choosing their tribe, when they're choosing their peers, they'll know who are going to be good for them and who are not. And I see this with my youngest daughter. We had a talk one day. I went in, you guys are going to laugh at me. That's how dated I am. I went in and I said, yeah, you know, I was thinking when I was growing up, we used to make mud pies and we used to play outside and you're just in your room on the screen and you're playing video games and you're on your phone and your computer. And I just think, you know, there's something in getting in the dirt and being outside and having that experience. And she went, really, Mom? Mud pies? How is that going to help me in the future? Do you think there's going to be a job where I can use mud pies?
Wow. How advanced
And I was like,
that answer?
Right? And I was like,
he just wants to get dirty.
Right? I was like, it's just about playing and having fun and letting go. And she goes, Mom, you think, and all parents think, this is what my daughter said to me. I think she was 16 at the time. You think, and all parents think, that we're just on these phones and we're just playing and we're just on social media. We're just doing nothing. She was like, do you know I have access to all of the information in the world at my fingertips? Do you know what I'm learning in here? Do you know what I'm looking up? She was like, I am educating myself in a way that you didn't have access to. And I know in the future, jobs are going to be on screens. And I'm really fast at it and really good at it because it's second nature to me. And mud pies aren't going to do anything for me. And I was like, I want to punch you right now, but you're my daughter and I love you.
See, but I love that answer. I feel like Chloe's still at an age where she's very, very young, and all she does want to do is the stupid dances that are on TikTok and just look up people that I don't necessarily think are the best people she can learn from. Because if there were other little girls, like I don't mind. But my main reason for her not going on TikTok was this one person. And mind you, she would talk about him all the time. There's this Anthony guy, this Anthony guy, this Anthony guy. And I'm like, is he hot at least? Like, I want to know who this Anthony guy is. So I logged in and I'm like, I feel like I wanted to hug him. Like it felt so dark from me. Mind you, she doesn't see this. She just sees he's doing videos and he's funny. And I'm like, he looks like he's troubled. Like he looks like he has some deep issues. And because social media is so powerful, it fears me that subconsciously what she's attracted to is the darkness. She doesn't like, she thinks that she's seeing the cutesy and the funny and the, all in your face videos, but eventually you start to model some of that behavior, in my opinion. I'm like, I don't want you seeing him anymore. Like, I don't want you to follow him anymore. And I'm going to delete the app if you keep following him. So she's like, fine, mom. I don't, of course, I was the bad guy. You don't understand, blah, 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 whatever. So, okay, I'm like the hacker of the universe. Like the FBI stands for Francesca, because I don't play. If I want to find something out, I'm gonna find it out.
Yes.
So of course, I'm snooping through her things and I'm looking. I'm like, she's still going after this kid. And it just drove me nuts to the point where like now she can't have TikTok. I've caught her numerous times on her grandmother's phone or on my mother's phone. Like I've always catch her on the phone, and I know that that's what she's doing, and it's sneaky. And it's like, it's to the point where it's like, again, I wanted to get advice, because it's like, I really want to knock her teeth out. I can, but it's like, where's the median? Because at the end of the day, because it's getting to a point where, okay, let's say for instance, I was to allow her to go back on TikTok. I'll allow her to do, just let the phase fade out. But it's to the point where like, it's like, okay, but now you're now not obeying me. Like I could have came back and said, here's TikTok, but you're going so hard, and that obsessive behavior turns me so off, because it's like she's a Pisces, and I know that she has this obsessive behavior in her. So it's like, I don't want it to get the best of her.
Yeah.
So I just need to find a way to get around that.
So there's two things I want to say to you. One question, and then the other part of this, you're going to think I'm real crazy, and I don't even care, because this is literally how I have parented. But the first thing is, have you asked her what she sees in watching, what draws her to that? Have you had that
conversation? I just don't see it.
You don't, but there's something she sees that's attracting her. And so this is where now you need to have conversation with her and say, okay, I see that you really are into this person. What is it about this person that you want to watch all the time? What is it that is drawing you to this person? That I would start there and having that conversation, because there's something there that's attracting her. Because if you have blocked her from seeing him on her phone, and she's finding other ways and sneaking around, which is definitely not good, then there's some type of attraction. There's something she's seeing inside of him, something he's doing that is attracting her. And you need to figure out what that is, because the truth is, until you figure that out, she's going to constantly be attracted to him for whatever reason. And
or to that
reason is you can't combat the reason, right? So that's the first part. The second part is the crazy part of Christina that goes, oh, okay, so you don't want to listen to me. No problem. Now, this is literally what I would do. I would take her phone and I would get me some blessed oil, and I'd be like, God, in the name of Jesus, I'm asking you right now that you sever these ties, because there's a lot of, and we don't, it's crazy, but it's true. There's a lot of spiritual soul ties out here to our children. And there's a lot of people out here that are trying to get into our children's head and into their mind, into their spirit. And you got to break that thing. Like literally have to break that thing, because sometimes, again, you can't just do it with your own hands, right? So I would say have the conversation and literally pray and say, God, whatever it is that got her attracted to him that is not good for her, let her see the truth that I see, right? and let her sever the ties from it.
Yeah. And I agree with that. I was going to ask the same question. Ask her what she sees, because we all filter our reality differently than each other. She does, I guarantee you, she's not seeing the same thing that she sees. And you said she's a Pisces, so she's probably having compassion for him. She probably does see the sadness, and he's trying to be funny and trying to push past it. And Pisces are very loving, compassionate people. We're water signs. I'm a Pisces. I could see people's pain, and I'm attracted to people's pain because I like to help people and I like to love people. So she may be feeling compassion towards him. Did you know there's a study that said, and this was fascinating to me, that when people daydream, and children don't really daydream that much anymore, that they develop compassion. And with everybody on their phone, when we're on our phones, our brain is working and it shuts off the centers of the brain that give us compassion. So people are literally looking for things online to help them feel love and compassion towards other people. So when people are showing up online, being really transparent and very real and sharing themselves, even being silly, it helps people. When people look at them, they go, oh, look, they are being real. They are being transparent. It gives me permission to do it too. It gives me permission to have those feelings. And so I agree, social media has some downfall, but there are also some good things on social media. When I first started on social media, I love spirituality. Everything on my feed is spirituality. And then all like-minded people that love spirituality. I've had some great conversations, made some amazing friends. So just like you watched on the show the other night, I can't remember the name of it.
The Social Dilemma.
Social Dilemma, her feed is the algorithm is going to pick up whatever she consistently focuses on. So as a parent, you can put parental controls in, and you can say, these are the types of things that you could look at. And then if she deviates out of that, you'll know. But she's developing independence. And I'm sorry, these kids are way more independent earlier than they've ever been. And it is because of television. It's because of social media. It's music. It's all the same things that every single generation has had this conversation about with their kids. Before our social media dilemma, it was rock music, or it was emos, or it's always it was the Black Panthers with those afros and those combs. Like, parents are always going to say what the new generation is looking at or interested in is creating a problem and is going to ruin them. And I would say this, and Christina hit on it earlier too, I think it's a great opportunity to connect with your kids, and that bond is everything. And teaching your kids great lessons of integrity, love, compassion, connection. I'll be honest with you, social media kicked my baby's butt when she was in high school. It was painful to watch. The bullying, the things that people will say when they can hide behind a computer. It made her reactive. It made her defensive. And I was just like, what happened to my sweet baby? That's just like, mommy's little girl. And now she's like, what? And the drama. And I was just like, what is happening here? I don't like my girl going through this. But you know what? These are her peers, and this is the world she lives in. And she's got to be able to hold her own and develop that tough skin, right? And so she developed that. And then her 20s, while she's in college, then we did some reprogramming. I was like, come on back now. Now you're grown up. Now let's decide what we're going to keep. Do we really need to be reactive? Do we really need to have drama with people, or even be involved in other people's drama? But when she got to a certain age, then she could make that choice. But that journey, I could not stop that journey. It was like a freight train. And the same thing happened that happened to you. If I said no, she found a way around me to do it. I got to the point, Francesca, where I started saying, I'm gonna make you in charge of your own punishment. What do you think? If you were me, what would you do? And she'd go, I'd take my phone away. And I'd be like, all right, give it to me. So I wanted to be collaborative. I want her to be part of the process so that we can remain close. Don't let social media create a wedge between us because you don't like it. Use it for opportunity to connect with her and get into her mind and her heart and see what she's attracted to. And you're going to see a part of her that maybe you didn't even know that was in there, because she's got a whole inner world that's been developing that she doesn't necessarily share. And that's the thing that's hard as a parent. We know there's parts of them that we're not privy to. And social media makes that really apparent. So get in there, girl. Get in there. It's your opportunity.
I'm listening.
Not a bad thing.
As hard as it may seem, like I'm at a point where I don't have any choice, because you know, based on what you're saying, you're just saying not let go, but kind of let go, and then reprogram later. Did I
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And then get in it with her so that you know where she's going and what she's navigating. And then you can be of assistance as she goes through it. You know, a lot of the stuff that happened in high school with my daughter, she didn't tell me till after. And she didn't want to tell me because she didn't want to deal with my reaction or my anger. She wanted me to go down to the school and do anything and make it worse. You know, it's tough out there for them. So they need to know that we're their allies, you know, and that they can talk to us about it. So sit with her and be like, what is this? Like, I want to understand you. I care about what you think. Another thing, young people teach us, Francesca, parenting. Anthony and I talk about this all the time. We've grown so much from being parents. They've taught us so much. My youngest daughter started talking back to me at about 9. And I just wanted to.
So then I'm not crazy.
No. So she started talking back to me about 9 years old. Like, she went from like literally this sweet little girl that people would beg me to babysit. They'd be like, can I babysit her? Oh my God, she's amazing. She's so quiet. She's so sweet. She's so blah, blah, blah. And then about 9, she started talking back to me. And I was like, who is this? Right? So, or she was shut down and everything was like,
yeah.
Right? So one day I said something like, don't you talk back to me. Da, 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 da. And then she said, why? And I was like, because it's disrespectful. She was like, why is it disrespectful? And I was like, because I'm the adult. And then she said this: because you're the adult, you get respect automatically, but I have to earn it. I cannot with you.
I would have been in therapy years ago if my kids were your kids.
I learned.
My talking back is not that challenging. My talking back is the that you were doing. That's my talking back.
That's because I'm a life coach. So I'm always telling them how empowered and great they are. So they came back with it.
Oh,
but you know what? Can I tell you something? She was right. That children are to be seen and not heard. How did that feel to us? That did not feel good to us. So why are we repeating the same parenting that did not feel good to us? That's why when Christina said, it was like, I was praying and I was building a relationship and a bond with my kids. That is the key. My kids are adults and we are so close and they love me. Before I got on this call, you know, my youngest daughter said to me, I adore you and you can do nothing wrong in my eyes. You are just amazing.
Wow.
Who don't want that?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you want. You want them to want you. You know how much coaching I do with adults mothers, where their kids don't want anything to do with them? Because she's always controlling me, always putting me down, always criticizing me. I don't want anything to do with her. And I'm like, ooh, not good, not good. So as our kids go through things in life, we want to protect them. We want to stop them. We want to control it. But it's part of their growth. It's called contrast, right? So it's like she lives in warm, yummy, delicious, fuzzy land. She wants to see what's on the other side. Show me the contrast. What else is out there? I know it's all yummy and sunshine and lollipops in here, but I want to see what else there is. I want to know there's options. And they're just gathering intel. They're just gathering information. And you got to allow them to gather information, but be with them when they're gathering information and help them to discern that information and decide what they're going to do with that information. And how are you going to show up on social media? I started doing that with my daughter. How are you going to show up on social media? What are you going to contribute? And I go look at my girl's social media now. She a mini me. She is posting spiritual stuff. She is amazing. but she had to take part of that journey without me. And that's really hard, Francesca. It really, really is. Trust me. Promise me. I know.
It is, because I'll hear someone having a conversation with Chloe, and if it's not the kind of, like, if it's not being said in a way that I would say it, I'll butt in.
Mhm.
Like, I'll intervene, and I'm like, well, that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because at the end of the day, I do want my children to be independent, and I do want them to be strong and powerful, which is why I think that even when she was talking back at a young age, not that I accepted it, but I, you know, we grew up getting whippings.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yes.
oh, yeah. Like, like I used to get beat, you know, and it was something that was normal. Like, I wasn't getting beat up, like I wasn't beat up and stuff like that, but I was reprimanded and I was disciplined, and I was told, I will slap the teeth out of your mouth if you say one more word. And all my mom had to do was do this. And I was quiet. Give me that look, and I was quiet. So it's hard for me to, I guess, to do it back, and her not being scared of it.
Yeah.
My mom used to look at me, and I remember the first time I did this to Chloe, she went like that right back to me. And she was stared at. I'm like literally, like the spirit of Francesca left her body, because I was literally like, my eyes, like in the cartoons, my eyes came out of my face. Like, I could not believe she gave me the stare down back. So it's a lot to take in. I'm listening and I'm recording. So I'm just listening to this over and over and over, and I will learn, and I will get better, because that's the point of this all. I want to be able to learn, and I know that there's other moms out there that are having the same questions that I'm having, and like I said in the beginning, they don't have the resources. Yep. So Kangela, you literally just left high school not too long ago.
Yeah, I finished. I graduated in August, actually.
So you literally just turned 19, correct?
Yep.
Like just last week, if I'm not mistaken. I did. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
So how do you interpret all of this? How do you interpret social media? And I know that you had a hiccup in your life where you went through a little bit of a depression at a very young age. So if you could just walk us through what that depression looked like, how did you even know that you were in depression, and how did you get out?
So basically how all of that started, it was back in middle school. So both of my parents ended up in a divorce, which kind of just came out of nowhere. It was definitely devastating. And, you know, when I found out that the divorce was happening, you know, I was like in shock at first. You know, it's like, this is not, like, there's no way. Like, there's absolutely no way my family is like a perfect picture, like it could never happen. And, you know, it got to the point where I just remember, like, one day I was like, you know what? I don't want to go to dance today. I want to stay home. Let me just take a break, like a mental day off. That mental day turned into all the way till my sophomore year in high school. So it was just like, I stopped going to dance. I completely lost passion for it. I started to stay home on my own. My relationship with my mom, it just, like, I look back now as a 19-year-old and I was just not myself. I would talk back to her. I would be completely closed in with her. I wouldn't speak. And she was the only person I had because my dad left. And it was kind of just, you know, my mom, my little brother, who is now 15, and myself, you know, so it was kind of just, you know, there was nothing with my mom and I. And I like sat back, and throughout all that time, I just started to like feel myself like going down. And it got to the point where high school comes, and I'm, you know, trying to get used to high school, getting into the swing of those things. And during that time, I started to open up to social media a little bit. I got social media, I believe in 7th grade. That's when I downloaded Snapchat for the first time, and I couldn't get my hands off of it. So all this time that I was lounging around, taking a mental break, it was just glued to my phone. I like literally shut everything out. It was just my phone. Then I got Instagram my sophomore year in high school, like right after my birthday, stuck on Instagram 24/7, couldn't let go of it, wasn't thinking about anything. And it was just glued to my phone. Like I just started to like forget about everything. I had no motivation. My grades were dropping like ridiculously. I didn't have like such a good connection with my friends. The friend group that I made in high school, like it was like I even started to become distant with them. I just felt like everything started falling apart. And it got to the point where I'm like, is it worth even being alive anymore? Do I really want to be here right now? Do I really want to do this? And, then again, it was just the same thing. Like, okay, this was my week. So next week I'm going to try and do good. Then I end up just getting lazy again. Not my mom and I have like a fight, and it like goes throughout the whole week. It's like my mom and I don't even look at each other. School, my grades are dropping even more. And I'm just like, okay, I can't do this anymore. So one night, it was sophomore year in high school, and it was the biggest blowout I had with my mom. I was like, Mom, I like just fighting with her back and forth. And like Francesca said, I mean, we're in the same family. Like she just gave me that look, and I'm not even gonna say anything. As a 16-year-old, like still the look still worked. And
it's magic.
Like, you know what? I'm not really gonna pay attention to that look anymore. And I just went at her, and she said, "What did you just say to me?" And she's like, "Kangela, what is wrong with you? Like, you're not yourself at all. Like something is going on. You're not talking to me. You're not telling me what's going on. You're in your room on your phone 24/7. You're not, what is going on with you?" And I just remember that night I broke into full on tears, and I'm like, Mom, I don't want to be here anymore. I literally want to kill myself. I already have a plan and everything. I don't want to be here right now. Like, it's not happening. I'm sick and tired of my life. I'm sick and tired of this everyday issue of like all these things going on. You and Dad, I'm still not used to this like stupid like separation thing. Like, I'm done. And so it kind of hit her there. She's like, and this is how I believe my mom saw it. Everything that was going on, it just came into one. Her grades are dropping. Now she doesn't go to dance anymore. Now there's this, there's that. Now it all started to come together. So it kind of just, our issue like that week, it escalated and it automatically dropped. So it was like, okay, so we just sat down, had a conversation, and she went to school. She went to my school. She didn't ask me. She went and she talked to the guidance counselor, and she said, "Hey, this has been going on with Kangela." She opened up to me. I didn't know that she was at school, and she opened up and told them like, "I need help. Like there's something wrong with her." And they even said it to her. They said it to my mom as well. Like, we noticed her grades were dropping and there's something that's off. So the conversation that my mom and I had a couple of days after that is, okay, look, you're going through this. The first thing my mom told me is, there's no reason why you should take your life. Absolutely no reason why. It's not the end of the world, And when it comes to like the divorce, like I'm going through it too, I'm the one I'm the one going through it. It's something that the entire household was going through. And we're like, we're going to get through this together. And my relationship with my mom, just to pause the story for a second, my mom and I have a very tight-knit relationship. Regarding social media as well, like my mom I'm open with her on what I have on social media and stuff like that. She like checks my phone to this day as a 19-year-old. I'm like, you want to check my phone? Go right ahead. Like I literally hand it to her sometimes. Like, you want to check it? Go right ahead. We have a very tight relationship with that. So during this time period, she was my trooper. She was there with me throughout the entire time. She talked to me all the time. I started to become more open with her. I got more involved in school. My grades started going over the roof. So around my senior year, I finished now in August with all honors. I finished as student council president of the entire student body. I ended up joining the dance team for one season. I did cheer my last year, which was something super brand new. I was a part of tons of clubs like choir, etiquette club. I even represented my school at Miss New Jersey Teen USA. It was something that I've always wanted to try. My mom was a model back in the Dominican Republic in the 80s and 90s. So I was like, hey, I want to pick this up. So I'm trying to keep that legacy going. I got involved. My confidence, like, honestly, over the roof. Like, I felt like such a better person. I tried to stay away from my phone a little bit more, which I'm going to be honest, it's not doing too well right now. All in quarantine, I've been stuck on my phone.
During quarantine, everyone's in their phone at this point.
Yes.
She's telling me that now. She's like, Kanj, let go of your phone. I'm going to switch you to a flip phone this time if you really keep with this phone. So I'm not doing too well with the social media now, but at the time, I really started to have different goals instead of just, oh, I'm going to be on my phone 24/7, or, oh, I don't want to talk about it right now, mom, or, oh, this, oh, that. No, I started to get myself into more different things. Like I said, I got more involved in school. I got more involved in my community. I had goals, more goals that I wanted to reach. Like I have a life plan that I want, like in the next 5-10 years from now.
Nice.
And basically, like, I just feel healthier. I feel like a brand new version of myself. My relationship with my mom is back to normal, 100%, even better. And I feel like, honestly, with all of the issues that I had, she was honestly like, she's the main reason why I am where I am today. Because she gave me the constant advice and we went through it together. You know, we were both at a point where we really didn't feel so well. She was a lot stronger than I am, because she's a tough cookie.
I was going to ask you, I'm like, do you think that your depression was feeding off of hers? Because obviously the whole household was going through a divorce per se.
Yeah.
Do you
And
think that your energy was feeding off of hers, or was it your own?
I feel like it was kind of my own in a way. And the reason why I say it was my own is because, you know, like I said, my mom, she's a tough cookie and she really handled it like a boss. She really did. But it was just the thought of like, my mom is hurt. And that's something that she's even told me, like, there's, for some reason, like, to be completely honest with you, when I see my mom upset, like I feel like it's me that's being hurt, you know?
Yeah.
And it goes like other ways too. Like if I'm hurt, obviously, like she's told me, she's like, when you're hurt, then I'm hurting too. You know, so it goes both ways. It goes 3 ways because my brother feels the same way as well. So, but like I really took it like so personal. And my mom's like, you know, Kanj, I know you're my daughter, but don't take it so personally. Like, I promise you I'm okay. So it was kind of that way, but she handled it so much better. But then having myself go through that, she told me, she's like, Kanj, it's making it harder for me. So like, you know, we have to work together on this. So I guess you could say, like, in my way, it was kind of my own issue. It wasn't really like, oh, I'm having this issue because she's feeling the same way. My mom definitely, she had her moment where she like dropped, but she got right back up and she's like, I need to support my kids. I need to show my daughter that this is what a true woman is, someone who, you know, has her moments, but like she can get up and like conquer the next day like a total boss. And that's what she showed me. And I, with the depression and everything that I went through, I picked that behavior up. So that's honestly, I feel like it was the right, I'm glad that I had that example to show me. And it's an example that I'm honestly shocked. Like, I apparently given that off to other young girls. So this story of like my depression and how, like, you know, I became suicidal for a hot second in my life, like I shared that on my social media. And I remember sitting my mom down and I said, Mom, you know, with graduation coming and everything, all of this mostly going on through high school, and like finding, you know, high school is all about finding yourself and, you know, being true to who you are. And, you know, having this, I feel like this story was like those breakout stories that you see like on documentaries and stuff like that, like of these celebrities. So I'm like, I kind of feel like that was like, this is kind of like the way I should take it. Like, it's a big step. So I told my mom, I said, Mom, is it okay with you if do you think it's right that I could share this? And she told me she was a little hesitant at first because, you know, she doesn't want me to get hurt, you know, and it's a way that she's showed me, like, when you put things out on social media, whether it's good or bad, there are people out there that could want to use that to do it in a negative way, like hurt you back with what you put out. You know, use it against you. Exactly. And she's like, are you sure you want to do this? And I said, I think it's the right thing to do. So I put up, and Francesca, I'm sure you saw it. The day that I graduated, I posted it. And, you know, I have a large following from a lot of people in my area, specifically in my county. So I just remember the morning that I posted that, I was flooded with so much positivity, especially for girls in my own high school. And my high school's pretty small. So like, I knew who I was hearing this from. And I just remember getting DMs back on Instagram saying, I cannot believe you went through this. Like, you look like the person that you were, like the it girl. Like, you had everything. You were like super involved in school. You were the last person, I think, to go through this. I even had girls who told me, like, this is how my freshman year was going and you didn't know. But after reading that, now I'm going to become better. So like, that made me feel good. So I personally feel like, you know, growing up with my mom and that positive and strong figure, growing it onto me, and now I'm putting it out for a positive reason. And now girls are starting to pick that up. That makes me feel good, So tying both of the issues of, how my story of depression and social media can be a good thing, and I know with what you were saying, Francesca, about like your daughter and how you don't know like if it's good, if it's bad, like what's going on. I feel like it reaches to a point where, how do I say this? It's like, it depends on her, as she gets older in a way. From my point of view, it's like you choose. Do you want to see the good stuff, or are you focusing on the bad stuff?
Yes.
My mom has really taught me, like, listen, there's going to reach a point where I can't even discipline you. You want to go down this road, you're gonna go down this road if you do this,
Yep.
this, and this. So I mean, like, I see myself on social media and I put as much positivity out there, and I want to see positive things, and I do see negative things that I run into, and I'm like, nope, that's not me, that's not what I want to do. I don't want to get involved with that. So it's kind of like, I feel like social media is a way of independence. It's kind of like your way of saying like, okay, so how do I choose right from wrong? Because like you guys said earlier, social media is so powerful. There's so much information at your fingertips. Like, and it's, you have to, when you sit back and think about it, obviously me at 19, I'm like, wow, like that's insane. And there are moments where my mom doesn't understand me. She's like, what are you talking about? Like there's no, and my mom has social media, like she has her Facebook with her friends and family and stuff. But like my mom sees TikTok. I remember when that came out, she's like, Kangela, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, what kind of videos are you putting out here? Please tell me it's nothing bad. And I'm like, no, mom, it's not. And I have that relationship with her where, like I said earlier, I take my phone and I'm like, mom, you can check my phone. It's totally fine. And she asked me too, which was a great advice from Melanie and Christina, asking them like, what is this? Show it to me. Like I show it to my mom, and she even shows me things that I've never seen before on social media. So it's just a back and forth of like, just keeping it positive, keeping a healthy relationship. But obviously, of course, there are some things you have to be careful out there with social media because people are crazy. And it's kind of just like, where does this stuff come from? But I mean, to a certain extent, like me being 19, I'm sure when she reaches 19, she'll be going the right way and with the right direction. And Francesca, you're a great mom. I see you on social media and you're an amazing mom. So I honestly feel like there's not much to worry about regarding that. I mean, if you just keep her on that same, like, restriction a little bit, because I'm being so honest right now, my mom will take my phone if like she thinks I'm using it too much. If she sees something that she thinks it's not right, then like she'll tell me straight up. And like sometimes I'm like, okay, mom's being kind of overreactive, but I've honestly realized there are some things from like 4 years ago, and I come back to my mom today, I'm like, Ma, you were right. You were right.
That's
That part. That part.
You were right.
Yeah.
And
But that
like,
takes a while.
Yeah.
They got to have some experience. It's Kangela, right?
Yes.
You are incredible.
Oh, thank you.
I just want to say that you have an amazing spirit. You're so beautiful, so articulate. Thank you for sharing that. That was amazing. You know what stood out to me at your about your story too, and I see this a lot because I coach a lot of teens. You were also going through puberty. We have to take into consideration here that these young people are going through puberty, and these thoughts that you have, there's all of these chemicals happening in your body. And so, Francesca, what happens is they close off and they go within themselves, which is why they don't want to participate in anything, because they're growing and they're becoming a totally different person. It's like it's like how a caterpillar goes into the cocoon and then it comes out a butterfly. All young people go through this. And social media a lot of times is what they use to help themselves to become who they want to become. And again, I got to go back to, if you listen to her story, her mama put the good stuff in there in the beginning. And then when she went through her metamorphosis, she still had that good stuff in there. And then she came out of it and was able to use the good stuff. And something else you said, it was so powerful for parents to know, is it's not our words, it's our example. Words don't teach our kids. That old saying, like, you know, do as I say, not as I do. That does not work. Our kids emulate our behavior. And Kangela is an amazing young woman because her mom showed up as an amazing young woman, made a great example. And her mom told the truth. Her mom said, I'm hurting. I have pain too. This is hard too, but we're going to get through this together. And I think sometimes parents think that we're supposed to create this really rosy, perfect picture that we have all the answers and we don't have any pain or any struggle. And then our young people go through pain and struggle and they've never seen us work through it. So they don't know how to work through it. And so when I coach young people, a lot of times they don't even know how to handle disappointment because they've never seen disappointment. They've never heard their parents argue. They've never not gotten what they wanted. So then they grow up and that happens. They don't even know how to handle it. So we really do a great service to our children when we're honest and real. And I would say to your daughter, Francesca, this makes me really uncomfortable, the social media stuff, because I love you so much and I don't want anything bad to happen to you. And I don't want anybody that has bad intentions to connect to you without me knowing it. That's all. It's not that I'm trying to control you or prevent you from having fun and enjoying your life. I just love you so much. I just want to protect you. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I think that's such an important part of parenting. And I know I didn't get that from my parents. It was just, this is what it is. Mm-hmm. And so with my children, I really believe one of the reasons they're so great, I have amazing young adults. They're not my children anymore. They're my young adults. I think that they're so happy and so well adjusted is because I've been a great example and I've told the truth. When I'm depressed, I've said, I've dealt with depression. I've dealt with sadness. I've dealt with making wrong decisions. So they know that that's just part of being a human being. So Kangela, that was amazing story. You showed us so many different things in that story. Thank you so much. Great job, honey.
Anytime. That's what I want to do. Like really just speak out, whether it's moms like you guys or people younger than me. I want to put that example out there. Like it's not just me or it's not just this celebrity, like their story, everybody goes through it. And when Francesca was talking about like therapy and stuff like that, that has to be normalized.
Yes, yes.
Like say that louder. People need to hear that.
Yes, yeah.
Like, I remember I had to go to therapy for my first time. And this was the crazy thing. I was forced to go by like a faculty member from my school. I'm getting in this grinding, like really just getting into school. And I wasn't giving myself a mental break. And I went through this issue with a group of friends that were not healthy people to be around, which I'm glad that I realized that. And I'm being told that I have to go to therapy or I can't go back to school. I said, what? Like, that's ridiculous. Like, there's no way. I have to keep going. Like, I'm almost finished with my senior year. Like, it was like I had all this caffeine and I couldn't stop. But when I thought about it, it was like, why do I have to go? Like, that's not normal. Those are for people who like, you know, like I have my life situated, like I'm ready to go. I was too positive to the point I was like, oh, I'm good. I don't need it. So I remember going and it just opened my eyes to think, you know what? Yeah, this is normal. Like people need to understand that. People my age and younger need to understand, listen, you're going to mess up at times and you're going to feel down. There are people out there that can listen to you and hear you out. Don't single people out or put this stereotype that, oh, those are for people who get too emotional. No, it's like, it's not an excuse. It's not because you're too emotional. People go through stuff. That's life. Life gets hard. We all need it. Age, gender, it doesn't matter who you are. It should be normalized. 100%.
Yep. I agree. And you know, as a life coach, a lot of people go to life coaches versus therapists because they just feel a little bit more comfortable. And I really think this, you guys, like think about this. We are not taught how our minds work. We are not taught about ourselves. So we show up in life and we tend to know more about computers and social media and cars and planning a vacation than we know about our own brains and our own minds and our own energy and our own spirit. We don't know how we work as human beings. And therapy and life coaching gives us an opportunity to get an education about self. I got interested in self-help work because I was depressed in my 20s. And my story is very similar to Christina's. I was a teen mom. I owned a home by the time I was 21 years old. I was an overachiever. I was married. I was getting divorced by the time I was 24. And I was trying to hold it all together and be perfect because I came from an abusive parent, and I was in foster care. And I just thought if I just grow up and make money and have a house and a job and a car and a family, everything will be fine. So I did all of those things. And I still found myself crying in the shower every day because I had trauma and I didn't know what trauma was and I didn't know how to deal with trauma. So as I went through a divorce, I went to therapy and I tried to get my ex-husband to go to therapy with me and he would not go. And so I said, well, I'm going by myself then. And that changed my life. That taught me about me. That taught me why I thought the way that I thought. That taught me what my traumas were and how to clear them. And I just became fascinated by that and just studied everything I could about the brain and about energy and about quantum physics and like everything I could about energy in human beings. And once I learned how I work, then I could understand how other people work. I could understand what to put into my children. I could understand the programming that I received that created the traumas, right? So to me, that's what therapy and coaching can do for people. It can help them to understand themselves better. And then when we understand ourselves better, we can have more compassion and love for each other. And then the world just becomes a better place. But if we don't know how we operate as human beings and as spirits, then how can we become our best selves? And a lot of times it takes trauma or it takes, something not working in our lives for people to go and pursue it. I say, get into therapy, get into coaching, just so you can learn, just so that you have great tools on how to live your life. And I think that's why more and more people are more and more open to it because everybody struggles. Nobody knows how things work.
And everyone wants someone to speak to, someone to vent to, someone that can guide them. Like I'm a true believer, and I wasn't at first because I'm coming from a world that I promise you couldn't tell me that I wasn't going to be employee of the month. Like that was that was literally me. Like, I'm gonna be the best that I'm gonna be at work. Like I didn't know that you can make money in an entrepreneur world. Like I was that closed-minded and that secluded in my family that I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
So getting into entrepreneurship, getting into network marketing, meeting all these people, like that has been the highlight of what I've learned.
Yeah.
And what I've learned has been the personal development and learning how my brain technically kind of works. Like I don't know the ins and outs of it, but just a few years ago, I wouldn't have had the courage to create something like this. Because that self-validation and validation from other people, I'm standing there like, well, I'm not certified in anything. I did some college. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I've never done coaching, but you kind of have. You got to come to a point where it's like, it doesn't matter what someone thinks you're supposed to be, or it's not someone else's job to qualify how intelligent you are or how much of a sponge you are and how much of that you can actually relate back to people. Because looking at my life now and seeing the things that my family has accomplished and being where I am right now, I can literally say like, yo, I'm that bitch. Excuse me, Kangela.
That part.
Like, I have a way of being able to vocalize certain things, and I have a way of, and I've been told this. It's not. It didn't just come to me, and I'm not boasting on myself. Edifying myself is probably one of the hardest things ever. Like I don't know how to do it. It's so hard for me. Like I can't sit there and say, well, I did this and I did that. It's so hard for me because I hate titles. I hate them. Because people will listen to a title and automatically think, well, the super vice president, well, I make more money than you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just hate titles. Titles throw my whole vibe off. Don't talk to me about titles. So being able to I've been told that I've been able to walk into a room and I just demand attention. I finally came to the realization, like, if I'm being told all of this, obviously I've got to start believing it, one.
Yes.
And two, I've got to start using it to my advantage. So if you know if I'm vocalizing something to someone and it's so relatable, and the way that I say something, even with my accent and even talking with my hands and with my face gestures,
energy.
Like, it's energy. It's energy and it's relatable, and someone else is gonna say, well, this girl, even though she doesn't have a suit on and you know she's in a t-shirt in her room, I can actually mess with what she's saying. Yeah. And I respect that she's able to bring in all these angles, from a 19-year-old to a young mom to a life coach, tie it all together. And I actually want to listen to what they're saying.
100%.
So I'm not only going to commend you all for coming on here because it's a late night when we're recording. You know, it kind of came in last minute per se. Like I literally threw everything together within a week. I admire all of you for telling your stories, for being transparent, for being educational, for being relatable, for being yourselves. Because this whole thing, I could have sat here and talked by myself, but it became even more powerful when it came from so many walks of life.
Right.
Aww.
So I would love to, like, not just thank myself, but
yes, girl. Yes.
I also want to commend you all, because it takes strength, it takes courage, it takes backbone, it takes everything nowadays. Going back to speaking about social media and the validation and all that good stuff, like, you just don't know who you can touch. And that's mainly the reason why I wanted to do this. I have not been feeling the best. I've literally, like, I feel like I've been in bed since March. I'm not even exaggerating. So for those of you who are watching that don't know, I am pregnant with baby number 3, and it is sucking the life out of me. I've never in my life not had energy. With both my other pregnancies, my first pregnancy, I literally worked all the way through. So I worked my 9-to-5 job Monday through Friday. I went into labor on Sunday before I went to work on Monday. So it was literally like, I did not stop. I was fine. I just had a belly. Yeah. And with my second pregnancy, I was a little bit more fortunate, where in my entrepreneur world, our family became so successful that I didn't have to go to a job. So I was able to live my entire pregnancy at home, but I wasn't at home, and I felt fabulous, and I was in heels, and I was sashaying. I felt like everywhere I went, I had a red carpet. Like, that was the kind of pregnancy that I had. So now with baby number 3, I'm just like, what is going on? Who is this person? Is it my age? Like, I'm not even that old. Like, you know, your body shocks you. Yes. But I do have to stay in motion, and I do have to pick myself up. And I do know that we are more powerful than we give ourselves credit for. Yes. So I'm extremely grateful that God put this in my heart and put it in my brain to say, Francesca, you've got to sit in that chair and you've got to talk your talk, because people need to listen to what you're saying. Yes. So I want to ask one last question, because I do want to be mindful of the time, and this is going to be audioed. I'm going to keep this on video as well. If you guys want to watch it on YouTube, I want to be able to put it onto as much platforms as I can, because I know that there's people that are going to be driving into work, and there's people that are going to be coming home from work, or maybe just on their lunch break, where, you know, they'll be able to tap in and just get a little dose of motivation, or just hear a couple of stories that are going to move them. So before we go, I do want to ask each of you a specific question. And it might be a long answer, but I'm here for it. So what, in your opinion, is the difference between validation and approval? And anyone can take that first. Okay. So I'll tell you what because before I asked the question, I also wanted to make sure that I researched it and understood it for myself. Okay. So according to what I've researched, validation, and this literally, like, mic drop when I got this. So validation is looking for what makes sense in another person's opinion. Okay. For validation, you're looking for what makes sense in someone else's opinion. And then approval. With approval, you're asking permission. You're asking for someone to grant permission. What's your take on that?
I'll answer. For me, I look at approval as someone saying, I like what you're doing. I'm down with you. I agree. I'm going along. To me, anytime anybody talks about validation, that is asking someone else to show you that you're good enough. In my eyes, that's what it means. Like, I don't need anybody to validate me. I know who I am. I know I'm good enough. But I also know that I had to grow into the point where I didn't need that validation. I think it's normal for human beings, especially teens and preteens that are going through puberty, that they are looking for validation because they haven't had enough life experience to know that they are good enough for themselves. So approval is fine. I wanted to say this, so I'll add it here. That's one of the reasons everybody likes social media so much. We're literally getting a dopamine hit. It is appreciation and approval. Look, I posted a picture. I like you. I like that. We all want that. We all want approval. We want kudos. We want appreciation. So people get that through the likes, and social media was developed for that, where we're getting an instant hit of dopamine. That's why everybody's so addicted to it. So I think it's fine to like approval. I'm of the belief, don't need anything from anyone. Want it, but be able to give it to yourself. That's my take on it.
Self-care. I like that.
Yes.
Definitely. I honestly, to add on with what Melanie said, regarding going onto the topic of social media, we all want like that, oh my gosh, like I like you,
Yeah.
but the question is, and if I have any like preteens or teens listening to this or watching this, ask yourself, like, if, okay, so say that this person, like, I get that validation from that person, what is that gonna do? Like, if you are not okay with yourself and you are not 100% like confident and positive with yourself, like, then that's not gonna get you anywhere. You need to be 100% okay with yourself first. And again, like, there are so many people that see these huge figures. I mean, look at all these TikTokers, for example. Like, everyone is looking up to them. I mean, we have these Charlie D'Amelio, for example, who she's like huge. Everyone's like validating, oh my God, I love her, I love her, I love her so much. Okay, like, that's totally fine, but then you like, that's social media. Social media is not their entire life. And I feel like that's something that people have to understand. Social media is just a small little shot of what their life really is like. So we can't be thinking like, okay, so I'm gonna have this validation of like people loving me so much off of my social. It's just gonna be a snippet of your life. Don't get so crazy over it. You don't need anyone's like 100% okay to live your life a specific way. So I like 100% agree with what Melanie said. You have to be okay with yourself first, and approval's fine. Yeah. I mean, I think of the first word approval. I'm like, okay, do I have my mom's approval to go hang out with my friends? Like, that's the first thing I think of. So like, approval, yeah, it's cool, it's fine. But validation, I mean, have it with yourself. That's what I think. Be confident and okay with yourself. That's what matters. And that's the healthy way to go on with your everyday life.
Take us home, Christina.
Woo, okay. After those amazing answers, I just want to be like, okay, are we done? I agree with both of you, absolutely. Melanie, definitely you hit it on the head. Approval, and I'm going to tie this into, since we're talking about social media, approval is the like it's, when you get that application, they stamp it. So when somebody likes your picture or likes something that you do, that's the approval. The validation is when they comment. That's how I look at it. When they make a comment, it's like, oh, it gives me permission to keep going and permission to do this. And both of them, validation and approval, in my eyes, they are both what people seek when they want to live in real, REEL life, as opposed to real, REAL life.
Yes.
So both validation and approval are both in the real with the 2 E's life, and ain't neither one of them necessary. I agree with what Kangela said. You have to be okay with yourself. You have to know who you are. Like Francesca, like you said, you got to know that you are that. That's you. Like, I don't need nobody to like what I put up there. I don't need nobody to comment. I'm putting out there for me, because let's be honest, and Melanie, you talked about this earlier, the things that we do, when we do it to heal ourselves and to help somebody else.
Mhm.
When I post something, I'm posting to heal me and to help somebody. That's why I'm posting.
Yes.
I don't care about who like it or who got the comment. If you get blessed by it, great, wonderful. But I'm doing
Yes.
it to heal me and to help you.
Mhm. Yep.
I don't need your validation or your approval. This is my real REAL life.
Yes.
100%.
Dismount. I knew she was going to take us home. I knew it. I love it. Go, girl.
I
Love
just
it.
feel like all of our energies were spot on. I feel like the conversations, the stories, the vibe, everything was just spot on. I'm extremely
Yes.
appreciative of the three of yous because,
Love it.
like I said, I could have been on here just yapping and yapping and yapping, but your puzzle pieces were it fit right where I needed it to fit, from all
Yes.
perspectives, from all walks of every topic that I wanted tackled was tackled, and in a way where it was different from my perspective, and that's exactly what I wanted. I came into this literally wanting to help more people, and it's always been the vibe that I've been on, is helping more people. But why not be able to help more people with showing them that coaching is fun. Like, this is technically a coaching session because we're all learning. The coach is even learning. The moms, us moms were learning. The
Yes.
19-year-old is obviously still learning. Like,
Oh, yeah.
from each other,
Yes.
story. And that's my
Always.
favorite to me. That's my favorite thing ever, is learning through story. Like, you can read a book to me in and out and say, God said that this, if it's not attached to a story, you're losing me.
That's right.
You're
Yes,
losing me.
ma'am.
Right.
Yes,
I grab
ma'am.
poets' stories. So I want to be able to grab as many stories as I can, bottle this up, and just share it with the world, because I know that there's someone out there that's going to reach out to me and say, Fran, I needed to hear this. Melanie, I needed to hear this. Christina,
Yes.
thank you. Kangela, your story touched me. I know someone's going to be out there and they're going to say this. So,
Yes.
in my opinion, our job is done.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you guys want to share? Is there something tugging at your heart that you want to just like release to the world? Like,
Oh.
I will share this. It's something that I live by. So in case any other mother is watching this, or I guess any parent, but definitely for mothers, because I have a heart for mothers. I live by being the woman that my daughter would model and the woman that my son would marry. I say this all the time. I live by that. And as long as you live by that, right? And that comes from your truth, your transparency, your honesty, your just being you,
yeah.
talking about the things that you really go through. As long as you're doing that, your kids will be fine. As Kangela said, her mother laid the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
She came out of a major depression because her mother laid the foundation, because her mother made sure that she was the woman that Kangela would model.
Yes.
And that's what I live by.
I love that, Christina. That's so beautiful. And it's absolutely true. I would add this, Francesca. First of all, I want to say, I just love you. And I appreciate you putting this together. And we all learn from each other, right? And so we're really blessed by our mess. And we shouldn't hide our mess. We shouldn't look at it as bad or wrong, because those are the things that help us grow. It's that contrast I was talking about earlier that your little girl is trying to get. Like, we all want to grow, and growth comes from friction, and it comes from things not working out the way that we always want them to work out. But when we can love every aspect of ourselves, we love every experience, good, bad, and indifferent, then we can live an amazing life, and we can share our mess and not feel ashamed of it and not care if people don't like it or judge it or have commentary on it, because we know it's going to bless someone else. And what you're doing is creating a platform to do that. And I just want to throw this out here. You said this earlier, and I don't even know in what context you said it, but it just stood out to me in my spirit. Was like, tell her that. I think you should name your podcast Invasive. I think that you should invade people's minds and hearts and make them tell their stories, because you're right. It's our stories that help each other. So you said the word invasive. I was like, oh, that's it. That's her title. That's her title. Get invasive. Get in there. We got to share our stuff and stop hiding it and stop acting like we're all perfect. And that's the problem with social media when people struggle, is because they're looking at other people and going, oh, look at them. Their life is so perfect. And like Kangela said, it's a snippet. Like Christina said, it's a snippet. We all are saying it, right? It's just a snippet. But it is our problems. It is our failures. It is our sadness. Those are the things that help us to grow. And we all go through that. So that's why I say as a mom, don't pretend to be perfect. Be like, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I'm sad. Sometimes I don't have every answer. Sometimes I make a mistake with you, but I'm willing to come back and apologize and say I learned and I grew and now I'm going to do it differently because I'm just doing the best that I can. And we all are. So thank you so much, Francesca. This was wonderful. I'm glad I was able to come on.
Yes, because first of all, let me just say that Melanie and her husband are extremely busy. Yes. They are like extremely busy because I literally reached out to her and I said, could you just like send me a quote? Like, can you just like a nugget or something that I can like say while I'm on and I'll shout you out and stuff? And she's like, well, what do you want me to say? Do you want me to type it? Do you want me to say it? And I'm like, well, actually, I want you on, because if you don't ask, you're not going to get it, right?
Yes.
I'm like, I would love for you to actually be on, but I'll take what I can get. So if you can send me like a nice message, something that we can talk, this is the topic. She was like, well, maybe I can move some things around. I was like,
well, let me tell you how much I love you. Okay. My daughter got engaged this weekend. And we were either going to do the dinner tonight or tomorrow night. We're doing the dinner tomorrow night because I'm on Francesca's podcast tonight.
I feel even more special now.
Because I love you like that.
Thank you so much. I love you too.
You're welcome.
I hope that you got what you wanted. Did you want to finish with anything, Kangela? I mean, I'm pretty sure we've got everything out. Or
yeah, absolutely. Well, first off, the three of you are absolutely amazing. I mean, I'm going to say honestly, my mind opened up a little bit more on what moms think and how I can grow my relationship even more with my mom. So I'll thank you guys for that. I actually learned a lot on this podcast. And
great.
One thing that I do want to finish off and leave off with, which is something I wanted to say earlier regarding social media. Everyone is like always looking at these figures saying, how can I become this amazing? You are amazing. Just go for it. And one thing that I learned this quarantine, it's manifestation. If you haven't done manifestation, I suggest you try it. Honestly, if you put those affirmations out there, you say that you're amazing, that you're going to do this, that you're going to do that. It's going to happen. You have to put those things out into the universe and apply that into your life. And one of the documentaries that I watched, it's called The Secret. It's on Netflix and there's a book to it as well. I highly suggest that anyone out there listening, or you guys as well, to really try it out and hear it out. My mom showed it to me. My whole life made a 360 and I just have a completely different way of looking at life. I'm a total boss. And I'm going out there striving in college life, doing what I love and achieving goals that I never thought I would. So definitely manifestation, go for it. Put those things out into the universe. If you could dream it, guarantee you, if you can do that, you can definitely get up and do it. 100%.
Law of attraction, baby. Law of attraction. Yeah. God, love it. Good job.
Well, folks, I hope you got what you came here for. My goal is to teach you or to show you that coaching is fun. Venting to someone that is qualified to take that venting somewhere for you. Don't just vent to your neighbor that's going to tell you to go kill yourself. Find some good guidance. Some good guidance. You guys can reach out to us. When I post this, I'll make sure that all of our social medias are involved so that if you get here to speak to, Melanie does have her own business. Christina is working on her own business, and who knows, I might just turn this into my own business too, because at the end of the day, diversity is needed. So you have the resources. Us four, we are your resources. We can recommend someone if it's outside of our, I guess, knowledge, or because at the end of the day, I'm not gonna give you advice on something I've never gone through or that I haven't seen someone else go through. But we definitely have the resources to expand and to bring you into the arms of someone that can help you. So make sure that you're asking questions. Make sure that you stay tuned because I'm just getting started. I'm just getting started. Girl. But I'm excited to be able to help you all. I would love to hear your feedback, your stories. Did this touch you? I just want to know that it worked. So with that being said, good night or good morning. I don't know when you guys are watching this. We love you and God bless.
Yes. Love, love, love.
Bye, guys.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.